One of the most impressive aspects to Frieren is feat. It's misdirection. Using red herrings and what I call animated red herrings, unless there's some technical term there, Frieren takes a blend of philosophical themes, a bit of character development, and injects just the right amount of humor to make a fine masterpiece. Everything is about delivery. How do you tell simple concepts in creative ways within an episode structure? That is where tons of misdirections come into play, and that is where episode 12 of Frieren, A Real Hero, has impressed me most. But for this video, I want to talk about the funniest comedy bit of this episode and how it was set up, because it applies to all the misdirection that happened in this episode, whether it was storyboard related, dialogue related. The creators do such a fantastic job in making you think one thing to surprise you with a little twist. So guys, spoilers, season 1 up to episode 12. So if you guys don't catch up, Frieren is going to end up reading you the Bible for hours. No one wants to listen to the Bible when you have feet. In this episode, Honmono no Yusha is an incredible example of using typical tropes against you for misdirection before giving you the twist. This episode was split between two different backstories with their own lessons, following up Craft Among's lesson from the previous episode. The importance of being known and appreciated for your life's work, creating inspiration for others is incredibly important. The first half of this episode attacks the pitfalls of what the whole King Arthur Excalibur trope, pulling a goddamn sword out of the goddamn ground because you're the truth ass dude trope. The second half of the episode incorporates tons of character development for Stark through the use of slow burning or gradual revelations. In between all that is what's in between all that. It's exactly what you thought with your mind in the gutter, because your boy's here with you. And Frieren 100% flexes her gutter knowledge with the biggest punchline in the episode, and probably the entire anime series up to this point. When you watch a show, or in this case anime, everything you see is purposeful. If you noticed from the previous episode and possibly prior episodes, there was something that stuck out like a half-naked elf man. Frieren's quick judgment to perceive guys as ecchi or perverts. We'll use ecchi because it's probably more YouTube friendly. The ecchi pervy trope in anime has been around so damn long. It's one of the most classic gags in anime. So we are introduced with how Frieren thinks of dudes potentially being pervy. At the beginning of this episode, they reiterate how Frieren thinks of guys, and this time it's someone else that she's gotten to know better, and that person is Stark. Frieren falls asleep in the middle of a snowstorm and Frieren ends up carrying her. Stark does his best to be a gentleman and offers to carry her. Frieren just stares at him and denies him, using her judgmental facial expression in awkward pause. Now they reiterate this again after the flashback. Once again, Stark asks Frieren, "Hey, let me carry her," because that's what gentlemen do. She denies him once again and gives him that judgmental look, and she makes the joke at the end of the scene and calls him ecchi. At no point in this entire anime has they portrayed Stark to be some kind of pervert. Bro just likes ice cream and being the comedic relief. So instead of the classic perverted character like yellow-headed Stark, red-headed Zenitsu is the opposite of that. The setup of that pervy trope is kind of switched in a way. Frieren goes overboard protective, using that notion of that pervy trope against us, and Stark is really just being a gentleman. So the first half of the episode is all about the trope that we all know well. The hero's Excalibur pull that "I'm the one shit out of the ground" trope. I'll be the hero, I'm the chosen one. They use that against us because the assumption was that Himo ends up pulling that sword out of the ground, but in reality he doesn't. The whole learning lesson behind this is you don't need to pull that sword out of the ground to be a hero. You could go out and save it yourself regardless. There's a ton of lessons in this scene that tie in Craft the Monk's lesson from the previous episode, being known for your great deeds and being remembered for all the special things that you accomplished in life. You know, all of that, and people knowing what you did, that also has its pitfalls. And the big takeaway from this is what Frieren says. People like to romanticize accomplishments and heroes. This is totally the Chuck Norris phenomena. People aren't inspired totally by the real you, but by the fake version of you that props you up more, even though you did accomplish great things. People ain't trying to hear that you like feet, century-old elves, and all your fuck-ups in life. That's not a fit backstory for a demon slayer. Now that we got that first part out of the way, let's get back to the joke. After stacking lessons from the hero's sword backstory, all the characters finally get time to relax, and we get the perfect time to pitch a change up. For an episode and a half, it's all mostly slice of life, teaching you philosophical shit. We get some cool action scenes here and there, but clearly there's no real tension or any kind of serious dilemma. So what is the next best thing? Feet. It's time to capitalize on that pervy trope. I have no idea if there are technical terms or not for animations, but I'm gonna just call this like animated red herring, because they use the animation and then they use the setup of the scene, kind of hit you with the punchline later. There are a couple things before that scene with the punchline that incorporates the setup to that punchline. The majority of the time, Frieren is nonchalant, chill, gives off the vibe like she doesn't really care. She's always calm and bored looking. As Fern is asking Frieren to go out shopping with her, Frieren is just chilling, reading on the bed. She just casually says, "It's that redheaded Zenitsu's birthday." If we know anything about Frieren's character development, it's that flower symbol. Whatever you think the flower represents, beauty, growth, care, whatever, that's what I think Frieren's whole journey is all about. Being that flower, understanding that flower, especially after whacking the Demon King and sending Demon Anya Forger back to Spy Family. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do after saving the world, right? We also know that Frieren is 100% taking these steps to be more emotionally connected with the few relationships he has with Fern and Stark. Now, Fern does what we all thought in that scene for the setup. How the hell are you just saying it like it was nothing? Did you actually get him anything? Why the hell did you not tell me something this important earlier? You coming off like an asshole, sensei. And this is the setup. It uses everything that we know about the character Frieren, and they use that against us to take the 180 for the joke. This is where the storyboarding and the animation helps guide you to that epic punchline. Frieren starts to kick her legs back and forth. Then they use this perspective shot behind her. This is a classic Japanese pervy kind of shot, but is actually pretty damn tame compared to other animes. But this is actually a really good shot to kind of bring us in, to hit us with something, because it brings us closer to Frieren. And she's doing something that's kind of awkward for a viewer, but it tells us a lot about what Frieren is thinking. She starts to wave her legs up and down. And what does that mean? That means a little bit of excitement. And what they do, they have the scene more close up and of her feet and her legs before she makes her move. Next, the dialogue helps us turn our assumptions about Frieren against us. So up until that point, we're thinking one thing. It's like, damn, did Frieren ever learn her lesson of Himo's lesson, and then what she did for Fern in an earlier episode for her birthday? She stops kicking her legs and she turns around and gives us that look, and she has the most grinning trolley face ever. After she tells Fern, "Look, bitch, you don't know what you doing. I know what I'm doing." And she gets up, and this is where the little pervy thing, usually they show panties and stuff like that, but they don't. And then she gets up all excited, and then she jumps down to get to the suitcase. And as she opens up the briefcase or the suitcase or whatever case that is, where they call that in anime or in life in general, she digs through all the stuff to Fern. "I got that good shit." And then she brings out a purple bottle of that good shit like this is Mushoku Tensei, Instead of that bottle being an aphrodisiac like what Rudy was gonna give to Sophie, she got something else. She got the trope. She got the pervy trope in the bottle, guys. Instead of it being an aphrodisiac, the bottle gets you naked. You know what? Instead of getting girls to take off their clothes when you throw potion on them and then the clothes disappear. So that's a different kind of spice of life if you're looking for something to spice up your life. So this 180 flip from what we thought about Frieren to Frieren going full-blown Anya Forger on us was one of the most hilarious things of this entire show. It is probably the hilarious thing in the show that will be remembered. So what does this tell us? Number one, this shows how out of character this moment was for Frieren, but in the most hilarious, endearing way possible. Two, this shows tons of growth for Frieren, that she is following up what she did for Fern on her birthday for Stark. Three, her gift isn't technically wrong, but it is wrong. So Frieren puts on her Anya Forger face and all of the effects that wasn't used in the earlier funny moments, especially with Fern. This scene added a little bit more effects. They added a little bit more music to hype up this punchline. This whole scene, they didn't do this over-the-top cringe that a lot of other animes do to make things funny when it's not funny on its own. I just want to give a shout out to the creators because they made this joke hit. It is actually a huge character development moment for Frieren, and we get to see this side of her that we have. I don't think we ever seen her like this in this moment, and it's another special moment for her later in the episode when they do Stark's backstory. This scene to me is just a culmination of everything that was about Frieren, that she's becoming more and more like that flower. She's loving life, she's understanding life, even though when your heart is in a good place, you know, a lot of funny things can happen, like feet. And to follow up this joke with Fern's discontent, you can tell how pure-hearted she is. It's more like she's more holier than thou, and judgmental Fern comes out, and she's so anti-ecchi stuff. To be honest, guys, sex is always going to be weird, but we just gotta do it. Since it's weird and awkward and most of us don't get to do it, it's always gonna be funny. People like Fern are the moisture kind of people. Icky. They don't enjoy life. As Fern says what she says, she pours it on Frieren, and the best bit of the entire episode is fully satisfied. And Frieren is just standing there, butt naked, covered up, sad because that potion that burns off clothing, that cost a lot of money, and they bring back that joke at the end of the episode. So all in all, this joke right here, one thing that we always know in anime of pervy anime characters, especially dudes, the script is flipped and they use all these tropes in just a different way. And that's what makes something that's a common trope more unique. So yeah, for this video, I just want to focus mainly on that joke because I think they did a great job incorporating all the little comedic elements in this show. And now they fully realize a really big moment. It's not only some kind of comedic relief, they incorporated the character development. It's the 180 flip from what we thought about Frieren into what we think Frieren is now. And that's what I love about the show. That's what I love about the scene. It's everything that created that comedic moment that is just not some just gag. It's a gag that developed character into who Frieren is now. So I freaking love that, guys. So yeah, if you guys want to discuss anything else about this episode, you know, I'll be chilling in the comments if you guys comment anything. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about the episode. This is one of my favorite episodes because of that moment. You guys know how much I like comedy. I like jokes. I like comedic irony. You know, The Eminence Shadow is my favorite anime. So yeah, just let me know what you guys think. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.